real quick before we start this episode, let's have some real talk. The clean living space is really loud right now. One person says this is toxic and another person says this is fine. And next thing you know, you're having a full-blown meltdown in the aisle of Whole Foods. If you are over the confusion and you just want some clarity, I have something for you. My newly updated top 25 toxins to avoid isn't just a fear-based no list. These are the ingredients that actually disrupt your hormones, cause cancer, and have the science to back it up. They're not just opinions, it's based on actual facts. But what makes this resource different than anything else out there is I talk about ingredients you should use with caution. Just because something is synthetic does not mean it's toxic. And just because something might irritate your skin doesn't mean it's going to irritate my skin. Those ingredients should not be talked about as being toxic. This resource is no fluff, no shame, and just clarity. It's completely free. You can download it at toxinstoavoid.com. That is toxinstoavoid.com. Okay, let's get back to the episode. Welcome back to the Toxin Free podcast. As always, I'm your host, Wendy, an environmental toxins attorney turned clean living coach. And we have a fun series coming up. So for the whole rest of the month, I'm going to talk about toxin free fails. That's right. The toxin-free products that just don't work, why they don't work, and what you can do instead. And this series is brought to you by my Toxin-Free and 3 students who we have a private Facebook group, and a lot of the conversations revolve around what products do you love and what just doesn't work. There's a reason why some clean, non-toxic products don't work as well as their chemical-filled toxin-filled counterparts. So let's talk about it. Let's dive in. And by the end of this episode, you're going to know exactly what you need to have a clean, non-toxic product that works. I actually think we don't talk about enough because here is a life cycle of somebody who maybe is using really toxic chemical-filled products at home and they want to be cleaner. They want to choose products that are safer, that are healthier for them, that are better for their health. And so they go and they buy something that is quote unquote clean, that has natural products, natural ingredients in it, and they take it home. And maybe it's a shampoo, or maybe it's a laundry detergent, or a dishwash detergent, or a deodorant. They have a less than stellar experience. Let's just put it that way. And they get in their head that, you know what? Clean products don't work. And that's actually not true. There are reasons why companies started putting harsh chemicals into products. And it's because they're the great equalizer. They make products work the same no matter where you live in this country and no matter what your water is like. Yes, I said your water. The number one thing that makes a product work or not work is the water that's coming into your dishwasher, that's going into your washing machine, or that's coming out of your shower head. That is the number one indicator of whether or not the product that you're using is going to work for you. So this is episode number 1 in a 3-part series, and we're going to start with shampoo. So why is water so important, and why doesn't your clean shampoo work for you, and what can you get that actually does? Another question you can ask yourself is, how can you improve your water so that your products work better? So I have a little show and tell. If you are watching this on YouTube, I actually have 2 shampoos with me right now, and these are 2 shampoos that you're going to find in my shower. One of them is Rahua. Rahua is like my number one pick, super clean, lots of really luxurious oils, organic, regenerative, rainforest grown. Like, listen, if you want luxury hair care that is clean, Rahua should be at the top of your list. And then I also have the shampoo that is by a brand called Evolve. And Evolve is what my kids mostly use in their hair. They really, really like it. And it is also a product that I consider non-toxic and clean, but there are some synthetic ingredients in here. Again, not toxic, but synthetic, and they're in there for a reason. And a lot of people prefer this product. This product is also very similar to JS Health, which is pretty much right now like a viral hair care brand that all the wellness influencers are absolutely loving. They share the same ingredient. We're going to talk about what that is. But first, we're going to do a really quick chemistry lesson, and you do not have to have a PhD in chemistry to understand this. I'm going to make this like so basic. The number one thing you need to know when you're using clean products is how hard is the water in your home. So hardness just means that the calcium and magnesium content of your water has to be above a certain amount, a certain content. We measure it in parts per million. So if the combination of your calcium and magnesium is over 180 parts per million, that is like really hard. And you probably already know it. You probably already know it because your skin's really dry, your hair isn't doing so great. You have a lot of lime scale buildup. You know how on your shower filters it'll like start to get clogged because there's all that like crusty buildup. You're gonna get that when you're cooking in your pots and pans, you're gonna get rings around your pots. If you have that heart of water, it's unlikely that you're not aware. You already know that. And if you have really soft water, which means if you have under 60 parts per million, you probably already know that too. Your skin feels nice and moisturized. It kind of has that really slick, moistury, lotiony feeling when you rinse out of the shower. And your laundry detergent and your dishwash detergent are probably working great. You don't have film on your glasses. You have really soft water and you probably know it. The hard part is if you're in between those two things. So if you have between 61 parts per million and 120 parts per million, we consider that moderately hard. You might not realize it and you might not know it, but it's probably affecting the way your products work. And it's probably also affecting your skin and your hair and your appliances in your home. And then between 121 parts per million and 180, that's just straight up hard. We consider that hard water. Now, you can look up your water utility. Often in their reports, they will tell you what the mineral content of your water is. So if you want to go on Google and start looking, you can do that. There's also a really simple $13 test that you can get off Amazon. I'll go ahead and link that in the show notes. It's really, really simple. If you want to know exactly the hardness of your water coming into your home, then you can just test for it. So I'm going to use these two shampoos as examples, and I'm going to walk through the ingredients and explain to you why one of them works so much better in hard water. So, most of the really, really clean, plant-based only shampoos, they use like glucosides or they will use coconut-based surfactants, something that's just really, really gentle. And here's the problem with that. Minerals like magnesium and calcium will literally grab onto them and hold them hostage. They actually bind to them and then they build up in your hair. So when you rinse your hair and you feel like your hair is not quite clean, it's literally because those minerals are making it hard for those plant-based cleansers. They're called surfactants, but it's the thing that cleans your hair. You can't wash them away. You can't wash it off as well. So there's two things companies can do. They can add an ingredient that is what we call a chelator, which is an ingredient that would bind to the minerals. They're kind of like mineral magnets. So sodium gluconate is one. That is a natural chelator that you can sometimes see in products. Trisodium citrate is another one. So they bind themselves to the minerals and they kind of keep them busy while the cleansers and the surfactants are able to work without being bound to those minerals. So that is something that you will see hair care brands do. They'll add in a chelating agent. But something that I find makes the biggest difference is the surfactant itself. So I'm just going to very quickly, in Rahua, they have a surfactant, and there's multiple plant-based surfactants in both of these, by the way. But I have found after hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of students have used these products and getting their feedback, and myself, when I travel and I go places with hard water, I actually take a different shampoo. So I know I have experienced the difference between the two things. I have a water softener in my home, and so we have very soft water. Rahua is my favorite. I love it. I have very thin, but I have a lot of thin hair, but I tend to be on the greasier side. And I love Rahua, and it's because I have a water softener and very soft water. In the Evolve and also in the viral shampoo JS Health, they also use this same ingredient, which is, I personally think, the reason why everybody's raving about it. It's cocamidopropyl betaine. Okay. So it is what we call Zwitter ionic. Say that 3 times. Zwitter ionic. It's with a Z. It has a positive and negative charge, and it actually helps the minerals not bind to the surfactant. So you'll get a better lather, you'll get a better clean. Okay. So that is an ingredient that is in both Evolve and JS Health and a lot of other quote unquote non-toxic shampoos out there that people tend to say if they have hard water, it actually works better for them. So what is the controversy between brands using this ingredient that makes it work better? The issue is it is a synthesized ingredient. And while it originally starts with like a coconut extract, it gets synthesized with other ingredients. One of them is called DMAPA. And that ingredient itself can come contaminated with things that are known skin irritants and skin sensitizers. So the argument is this isn't actually a clean ingredient. It's not actually non-toxic because it's not completely natural. And that is total BS. And I think this is one of the biggest problems in the wellness industry right now is that people have this attitude that if it's synthesized or made in a lab or it's synthetic in any way, that it's toxic. That's not true. There is a very big difference between something being toxic, which means it's an endocrine disruptor or it causes cancer or it is immutoxic or it is mutagenic or it's neurotoxic. Those are real health issues. Those are outcomes that I would say, yes, an ingredient is toxic if it increases your risk or it can cause, there's a causal relationship between those health outcomes. This ingredient simply isn't 100% natural. It is synthesized. And if it is sourced poorly and comes contaminated, it can irritate your scalp and it can be a skin sensitizer. So if you are somebody who has very, very sensitive skin, then this ingredient might be problematic for you. But for the vast majority of the population, having this ingredient in hair care products allows people to use clean, non-toxic, which means there's not health issues related to it, shampoos that actually work and get your hair clean. Now compare that to Rahua, which does not have that ingredient and chooses not to really use chelating agents, so it works better in soft water. They have a surfactant that is similar called cocoa betaine, different than cocamidopropyl betaine, two different ingredients. The one that's in the Rahua is very much coconut derived and is a very simple ingredient. But if you have hard water, it can bind to minerals and make it really hard to get out of your hair. So that is the difference between the two. And when you are shopping for clean hair care, you have to realize that if you want something that is completely plant-based and super gentle and has non-synthesized ingredients, like a Rahua type hair care, that if you have hard water, that might not work for you. So if you want something like that, here's what you can do to make it work for you. You have a few options. You can invest in a whole house water filter that comes with a water softener. Over on my Toxin Free Shopping Guide, I have lists of my favorites. I have a water softener. I love it. It makes everything better. And if you're not ready for an investment like that, most of them cost around a couple $1,000 for a whole house filter that includes a water softener. You can get those little twist-on filtration systems that you can put directly onto your shower head. And you just have to change out the cartridges and change out the filtration, but some of them come with softening agents in it. So you can soften your water directly from your shower head. If you want to use some of these cleaner plant-based products, they're really, really good for your hair, especially if you're trying to grow out your hair. I quit dyeing my hair a year and a half, 2 years ago. And so I was really on a mission to grow my hair. And so Rahua is one of the things that I have done to, all those nutritious, luxurious oils are really good for hair growth. And so maybe investing in a soft water filter that you can put directly on your shower head, that is definitely something that is much more cost effective. I also have those options on my Toxin Free Shopping Guide, which I will link down in the description in the show notes. Okay. So let's wrap this up. If you have used clean hair care that you feel like sucks and does not work for you, here are your options. Find a brand that uses these surfactants that are better in hard water, like cocamidopropyl betaine. Or you can invest in a whole house water filtration system that has a water softener system, or you can put a filter on your shower head and you can bring soft water into your shower. After having hundreds of students testing shampoos, JS Health and Evolve are the two brands that people really, really love that have that extra surfactant power. And if you're somebody who wants all plant-based and really, really clean, Rahua and Inner Sense are the two brands that people absolutely love. Side note, if you're somebody that has really thick, curly hair, that type of hair tends to really not have as much of an issue with buildup of oils. It tends to be good for their hair. So I do find that people that have thick, curly hair, even if they have water that's on the harder side, they also prefer brands like Inner Sense and Rahua because the brands that have those surfactants in them that work better in hard water tend to be too drying. So it depends on your hair and it definitely depends on your water. Okay, if you're enjoying this series and you want me to do more categories, hop on over to Instagram in my DMs and tell me what category you want me to do next. But next up in this 3-part series, next week you're going to hear all about laundry detergent. I'll see you then.